Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Melissa Siegel and I'm a professor of migration studies, and this is a channel about all things migration. So today we are continuing with our country series, which is where we zoom in on a specific country and look at the migration history, the migration policy, and the current migration situation in that country. Today we are looking at Pakistan. But if you are interested in some of those other countries, please, you can check out the link here. We've covered a lot of other countries also on this channel. And now I'm going to turn to the current migration situation in Pakistan. But if you're interested about the migration history or the migration policy in Pakistan, you can please check out also those links above. Now let's jump right in and look at the situation of Pakistan. Now, if we really want to just look at some basic statistics on Pakistan, it is a country with a high poverty rate and a low GDP per capita. So it is a low income country that still does have a lot of issues with regard to human development and literacy, as well as other areas. But now let's look directly at the main immigrant groups in Pakistan. So the main immigrant groups by far are Afghans and Indians for different reasons, but Afghans are mainly refugees in Pakistan and have been historically also housed in Pakistan since the 1980s, since fleeing from Afghanistan first when the Soviets invaded Afghanistan in 1979. You can see there are also a number of other countries that Pakistan is hosting, or country nationals that Pakistan is hosting, but to a much lesser extent. We have Myanmar, Iran, Sri Lanka, Indonesia, China, Iraq, and some others. There are also a number of IDPs in Pakistan also, or internally displaced persons. If you're interested also to learn more about forced migration, IDPs, refugees, and others in general, you can check out my other video on that. Now, what you can see here with this graph is really the difference in IDPs that have been displaced because of conflict versus disaster. There have been and continue to be IDPs in Pakistan for both reasons. Now we can turn our attention not just from the people who are coming into Pakistan, but the Pakistanis that are leaving. There's a large emigration from Pakistan, mainly for labor migration abroad. There are different estimations of overseas Pakistanis in the world, but these range somewhere between a little over 6 million and between 12 and 13 million, depending on the resource that you're looking at. So still a lot of Pakistanis abroad. The Pakistan exports also labor migrants to more than 50 countries around the world. You can also see the main destination countries or regions for Pakistanis. The majority are definitely going to the Gulf Cooperation countries, or the GCC countries, and within those countries, mainly to Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. Then in second place is Europe, and within Europe, the UK is the most important country, followed by Norway in the Scandinavian countries. And in third place is North America, specifically the United States, but then also Canada. And of course, there are also Pakistanis in other countries around the world. You can also see here from the 1970s how labor migration has increased specifically. And we can also see that especially since 2005, highly skilled or highly qualified and skilled workers have really increased. We can also see where Pakistani labor is coming from by the different areas of the country. This is definitely distributed across the country, but we do see more migration comparatively from the Punjab region. Now, if we turn to looking at remittances, so remittances are the money that migrants send back to their families and friends and others in their countries of origin. If you'd like to learn more about remittances, you can also check out my video on that. But for Pakistan, here we can see how remittances have been increasing over time since 2010, both in absolute terms and as a percentage of GDP. So remittances are very important for Pakistan. And what's interesting to note also is that even though remittances were projected to decrease for many countries around the world in 2020 because of COVID-19 and the pandemic, you can see that Pakistan has actually weathered this storm quite well and even had a slight increase in remittances in 2020. If we look at the main remittance sending countries to Pakistan, both in 2019 and 2020, we can see that Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, the UK, US, and Malaysia were the most important countries. And you can also see how between 2019 and 2020, there were different impacts. So you can see in 2020, there was a reduction in remittances from the UK, the US, and Malaysia, but there was not a reduction in remittances from Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, which could be for a number of reasons. Some of that could also be based on return and also preparing for return and bringing savings also from those countries back. If we turn to specifically look at remittances from European countries, you can also see here, so UK is not on this list because it was on the previous list, and it is by far the highest remittance sending country in Europe. Again, you see that there are quite a lot of remittances being sent from Germany, Spain, Italy, France, and Ireland and Greece. And again, differences between 2019 and 2020. We're seeing an increase in 2020. Again, some of that might have to do with return. It could have to do with need in those countries, with need, back in Pakistan. So there's still a lot to unpack as to why we see this trend in remittances during 2020 from some of these countries. So I've already talked a little bit about the impact of COVID-19 on the remittance sending, which has seen to be generally positive for Pakistan. But of course, because of the pandemic, most Pakistani labor migrants often got stranded in GCC countries. Many of them were repatriated in an effort by the Pakistani government and were quarantined in government facilities if they were also tested positive, for instance. In addition, the pandemic has affected Afghan refugees, especially those living in camps in Pakistan, with regard to their livelihoods and internal seasonal migration within Pakistan due to measures that have been imposed by the government to prevent the spread of the virus, like have been put in place in many other countries. So this has impacted Afghan refugees in Pakistan. I hope that's just given you a quick overview of the situation of migration in Pakistan. We see plenty of labor immigration outside of the country, also some asylum seeking. And as far as what's going on inside of the country, we do see some IDPs or internally displaced persons, both for conflict and because of environmental factors. And we do, of course, continue to see Pakistan hosting a large number of Afghan refugees in the country. Of course, again, if you're interested in other points on the country, please do check out those other videos. I'll link them also in the description. And I do hope to see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.